What's going on, fellas? It's Skynet. Welcome back to another Squadra vid. Today we have something very interesting here. The Squadra Community Suggestions Volume 1, courtesy of Frozek. Shout out to them. They, with the Squadra community, basically created this massive Google Doc, which includes all the ideas players have given for improving Squadra. You guys know me, I love Squadra a lot. It's one of my favorite games, but Squadra definitely has room for improvement, which is why Frozek here took it upon themselves to basically put all the ideas into an organized, documented format. And they actually said, if you're a content creator, it would be awesome if you use this file in your videos. They don't need credit, they just want to share the ideas for improving the game. So today, we're going to go ahead and go through this entire document and see what suggestions are being made by the players for improving Squadra. This is obviously just volume 1 of many, but I'm still very excited and very curious to see what the community has in mind for improving this game. And before we get into the document, I do just want to say, even though Frozek here mentioned they don't need credit, if you guys want to show support to Frozek, definitely show support on their Twitter account or with this document and everything. They, along with so many others, put this document together, and they did the hard work and the due diligence of basically putting everything together into a nice, extensive, comprehensive document. So they deserve credit. Credit where credit is due. They put this all together. They made it public for us to see. So thank you to Frozek. Thank you to everyone else who made this document. But yeah, let's go ahead and just check this out. I did kind of briefly skim through this, or kind of see how long it is. It's like 32 pages, which is incredibly long, but it's like 5 or 6 parts and everything. It's quite extensive, so I'm just so ready for this. So first of all, we have the introduction here. We are a small, these guys are a small Eastern European community of around 600 players that actively follow the game and promote it to a wider audience. Their most dedicated players have put together comprehensive feedback to improve the game. Some of them have even provided this feedback on the official server, but they also decided to make this document here to basically make it into a more kind of comprehensive, extensive list, and to also have it, in a written kind of official kind of style, if you will. And obviously they hope that this file will reach someone from the dev team, but also they want to thank people who are just playing the game and everything from other communities for reviewing and responding to this, which is us, of course. We're reviewing this. So yeah, thanks to them for just making this document. By the way, guys, let me know, comment down below your thoughts on this document and the different ideas here. If you guys have different ideas or disagree, feel free to just share all your thoughts in the comments down below when it comes to this stuff. But yeah, let's go ahead and go through this, because again, 32 pages, this is quite extensive here. Starting off with part 0, the game's direction. The biggest issue at the moment is the game lacks a unified direction. Gekishin Squadra positions itself from one point of view as a discipline capable of holding tournaments and competitive type of stuff, and from another as a game for casual players to play once in the evening, in the form of sub-rules and divine draws. This leads to some controversial decisions for the first group of players who position Squadra not as a game for casuals, but more so for a competitive game. In the current Season 3, for example, there are divine draws that seem to be specifically designed for a casual audience. In no competitive game will you find health being hidden for most creatures on the map, or all heroes turn into clouds. And in this file, we have tried to combine changes for both group of players as much as possible without going to extremes in either direction. And they did kind of make this graphic here. You can see basically one direction, casual party types of games, adding divine draws like mystery HP, sub rules, so on and so forth. Other side, competitive type, balance changes based on the meta, tournaments, that type of thing. First things first, where are my thoughts when it comes to the game's direction? I do agree with this statement right here. The game lacks a unified direction. It's not exactly poised to be an exclusively competitive type of game, and it's not positioned to be exclusively casual and sub rules and that's it. It's kind of trying to strike a balance in between. And while that may seem like a bad thing in a lot of ways, for me, it's also one of the things that, in my opinion, makes Squadra have some of the best potential for the future. Because, obviously, Gekishin Squadra, it has the Dragon Ball IP, so that's very powerful in and of itself. When you look at Squadra, whether you're a competitive player or a casual player, one thing we can all agree on is Squadra, the dev team, they do some really good work designing characters, and especially when it comes to emotes and animations and stuff, they have a lot of good attention to detail when it comes to the nuances and the special kind of callbacks. They do a lot of good work when it comes to designing things for their game. And then the thing about competitive and casual players is, in my opinion at least, I do think when you compare the two types of players and the types of games, it's like a Venn diagram, right? There's a small bit of overlap where both sides can agree on things, but obviously both are still different types of players and different types of games, so not everything is mutually inclusive where everything is agreed upon, right? So there's going to be some things that are kind of shared, but other things that are separate and different. So For me, I think that's a very fair kind of assessment when it comes to Squadra's position right now. The thing for me is, while you could say it's better if Squadra just outright decides right now they're going competitive or casual, one or the other, not both, for me, the thing is, Squadra being a very young game, let's understand that, it's not even a year old, right? Squadra is in a position where if they do things properly and they are very, proper and like kind of thoughtful in terms of how they approach things, they can create a game that is really good for competitive players while also being very good for casual players. I really do believe that instead of just two opposing arrows, there could be one arrow down the middle that basically is just the best of both worlds, quote unquote. And I do want to emphasize that while that's probably the best possible solution for Squadra, and that's the one where I see the best future potential, at the same time, it's not the easiest thing to do, because casual players, again, casual and competitive players, they don't necessarily always agree on what they want to see from a game or what they want to be prioritized. And so it's going to be tricky. I think the devs can do it. I think if they take the time and listen to their players and try to do all sorts of different things and be creative, which they already currently are in my opinion, but if they be even more creative, they can definitely strike a great balance between competitive and casual. And I think in doing so, if they can achieve the idea that I have in mind, they can make this game one of the biggest games in all of Dragon Ball game history type of thing, because of the ability to appeal to a bigger player base of casuals and hardcore gamers. So I think that's really important in my opinion. But yeah, I can agree that it's not entirely unified in terms of where they're going. Anyways, moving on to part one. Now we're getting to the actual kind of suggestions here, the game's economy first and foremost. So obviously in this part we have included all suggestions related to adding or obtaining in-game items, skins, animations, and obtaining game currency, things like capsules, zenny, so on and so forth. We have not included ideas related to obtaining characters, as this is already in development. So we'll go through each of the ideas here. First of all, a new item, the Hero Memory Selector, a new in-game item that upon receiving allows you to choose which character gives additional memories to. This can come in several variations depending on the number of hero memories to the character. And this item here will solve various problems, including serving as an opportunity to fill empty slots in the Battle Pass with this item, great in my opinion, and also adding an additional source of hero memories for characters to upgrade star levels. This alone is already more than enough justification for me to have something of this type of caliber exist. Because I've made a vid talking about the Battle Pass, I want to say a month ago now, if not a bit longer. One of my biggest issues with the Battle Pass for Squadra in particular is that the free-to-play track has certain levels where there is no reward whatsoever. So right here, for example, maybe you're at level 38, you get 20 gems, then you go level 39 and you get nothing. And then you go level 40, then you get a capsule. But still, level 39, you're grinding the levels, you get nothing for that section. That feels pretty damn bad, especially when you look at the premium track and every single level has something to offer, even if it's just a stamp, it's just a capsule, a basic capsule that, whatever the case may be, there's still something there, right? So if they work to improve the Battle Pass system, I think that's a great option, and this can be a great way to improve on the Battle Pass just by having something being in those empty slots, making it feel more involved, making it feel like it has more to offer than what it already does, of course. So I think that would be really good. And more hero memories, that's always nice as well. It'll be interesting to see how this will play in the future, because like they said here, the idea of obtaining characters, this is in development by the dev team. They've already admitted the star collection system is not working the way they thought it would work and everything. All the issues and the player issues with the system and everything, they're working on trying to create a new replacement mechanic system for the star collection system. So we have to wait and see what that new system is, what are the good and bad things about it, how do hero memories play into it. All those things are unknowns. So this may be not too important in the grand scheme of things, but the ability to fill the Battle Pass, that alone is more than enough justification for me as far as I'm concerned. Next up, updating the Battle Pass rewards. 100%. Same thing with this, incredibly important here. Add at least one proper skin, for example, a torn variation of a character, as a reward for completing the Battle Pass instead of repainting characters in a gradient, and add extra rewards for after finishing 50 levels of the Battle Pass, small ones like 500 zenny per extra level or one capsule of the ongoing season. Yeah, most definitely suggestions that I think are important for sure. I mean, I really feel like there's not much I need to say to add on to this, given what I said for this kind of section up here. But again, Improving the Battle Pass is probably one of the biggest things that the dev team could focus on improving in the very near future. So many games have Battle Passes, right? Battle Pass is a concept that's been existing in games for years now. And yet, Squadra's Battle Pass, when I compare it to other games, even though to be fair, Squadra is still a young game, Squadra's Battle Pass is kind of disappointing in the grand scheme of things. And, one thing that could really help is, again, a proper skin, because these rage skins that we have for different characters, like, yes, they're cool, new skins, but they aren't necessarily that, clean or that fire to have versus some other skins that we do have. So, for example, Super Saiyan Goku, right? Super Saiyan Goku has a lot of skins in the game, right, as an example, and you can get a rage skin for Goku through the Battle Pass, but then realistically, you may not want to use that skin. Maybe you want to use the Twitch drop skin, or maybe the basic skin, or the Santa hat skin if you have that from the event like a month ago now. You could use those skins, or maybe Yarjak Goku, or you could get like the Namek, the Torn Gi Goku, the Infinite skin. All these other skins exist, which are arguably even better looking than the rage skins, the gradient skins, right? So if they can make it where the final level 50 reward is even better than it usually is, that would be really awesome. And this for sure would be really awesome as well. Adding like an extra chest or crate or something where you get small rewards after like finishing 50 levels, that would be really good, because then that incentivizes players to play the game more, get the missions done more. And it's just, small rewards. You don't have to go ahead and give us 250 gems for getting, extra chests or whatever. Just giving us Zenny, maybe 10, 15 gems at most, potentially as a random kind of thing. All those things can add up, and they'll be things that players enjoy, and it makes people play the game more. So all of that is a win-win-win idea. I really do like this a lot. So far, these guys are cooking. Whoever made this document, all the ideas here, they're cooking for sure. Sub-rules reward system. Yes, yes, yes. Add special missions such as play Veggie Battle 5 times that will, for example, appear every 2 weeks. Grant rewards like Zenny and stuff. Give an increased amount of hero memories when playing these modes. And what this will solve is it adds a new inflow of players to these game modes and makes development of these modes worth the time and effort. 100,000% true. In fact, I think this, looking at the Battle Pass thing, I think this sub-rule thing takes more importance compared to the Battle Pass stuff. And I'll tell you why. Every season, we get Squadra talk. Every season, the devs promote a new sub-rule. They actually spend like a few minutes saying, hey, this is the new sub-rule for the season. You'll get to play and everything. This is how it works. It's a cool new concept. It's not something that you would normally think of, and yet no one really plays it. If you really think about it, the people who play sub-rules for the most part, it's going to be people who are trying to hunt for the achievement of playing the sub-rules, like in Steam and everything, you get an achievement for playing that sort of stuff. You're either going for the achievement, or you're either playing with a group of friends, you're just trying to have a chill time and this is something you want to try out, or you're a content creator and you're trying to make a vid on the new game modes and stuff, or the new things they design. And for all that being out there, the system, the sub-rule mechanics in the game mode, it still doesn't really get a lot of play time because really there's no incentive to play it, generally speaking. And that's something that I think is a big issue currently, definitely an issue that needs to be rectified as soon as possible. At this point, we're like midway through season 3. By season 4, I need to have the devs mention something about improving the sub rules and the incentive to play it, because that is definitely important. And more so, ignoring just the new inflow of players, really I want to focus on this second part here, because the dev team, I always praise the dev team a lot when it comes to Squadra. They do make some mistakes, but I still praise them a great deal. The one thing I cannot deny about this dev team, no matter what, good or bad, is they do a lot of time to design these sub-rules and make them be creative and interesting. And for their sake, I feel bad knowing that they do all this work and they don't really get much return out of it, not even in terms of a promotional kind of thing, because there's no reason for players to play it. So yeah, if we can make it where sub-rules are more valuable to play and everything, I think that's one of the best things that can happen for this game, especially for casual players. I think that creates more of an avenue for casual players to now start to play and enjoy the game more, which then in turn will make ranked battles more competitive as people want them to be. There are times where I've talked to friends and everything, even me, myself, and I will look at the ranked battles and I'm like, some of these people don't, at like the high ranks, I don't think they are really taking it seriously as other people are. And, that can frustrate players who are really trying to grind rank and everything. I think bolstering the casual play with the sub rules and everything, that will be such a big benefit for the entirety of the game, because then ranked will get a bit more of a focused down, like devoted player base. Casual will have a more safe kind of player kind of base right here with the sub rules. It's so much positive returns and rewards can exist just by adding an incentive to play sub rules. So yeah, man, I am loving these suggestions so far. Some of them are, I will say, they're kind of obvious things that come to mind, but that doesn't mean they're wrong, and that does not mean that these are not great ideas, for sure. Increasing rewards for the group rankings, okay? The group system is good only for the minority of player base. 5 capsules for 10 out of 100 players is too little, and it's unfair to players who get even less. And these are just basically ideas for increasing the amount that we get for group ranking rewards. Ideally, the system should be replaced with bi-weekly monthly missions with guaranteed rewards, and this is what we have currently. This is actually a topic that I think does need to be addressed by the dev team, but I think everyone can agree this is like on the lower side of the priority versus other things that we've seen already. But it is fair to say that this needs to be improved, especially given the changes to Zenny and the changes to the daily shop, where basically, you know, for the top 10 players in your group, you get 1,000 Zenny, right? After grinding for about a week or 2 weeks, right? You have to put this into perspective. Currently, every day you log in, you are at least most likely going to be getting 1,000 Zenny, if not more than that, 2,000 Zenny for free in your shop. We've seen people get 10,000 Zenny, right? So, you know, the fact of the matter is, these values, 100, 200, 300 Zenny, back in like season 0 and season 1, that was huge, that was valuable. Now it's less valuable because, you know, kind of like a simple base of economics that you would learn in classes, right? Now the fact of the matter is Zenny is so much easier to acquire, and there is so much of it that this amount feels lackluster significantly in comparison, when all you have to do is just log in for like 5 seconds, go to your shop, pick up 1,000 Zenny, and you get the same amount of Zenny in just logging in as you do playing the game hardcore and trying to hold up the top 10 ranking. And then the special capsules and stuff, I wouldn't mind getting more capsules. I will say, I don't know if they're going to prioritize that as a reward, probably focus more on the Zenny, but more, you know, more summons and everything, that would be great too. So definitely agree with this. Again, not the biggest priority, but definitely worth doing. System rework. Let me go and try to speed this up, by the way, because I feel like I'm yapping extensively long on all these different things here, and we got so many different things to cover here. What are we? We're still on page 4, so I got to start locking in here. So we got the system rework for the hero mastery system. So updating the system for granting badges for specific characters. This can also serve as a replacement for star grade if the star collection system is removed. Honestly, I do like that. Right now, you can increase your hero's mastery level, by obtaining hero memories of the character, increasing the star grade, doing special challenges like we have with this badge system here, where you do special missions for badge points, and playing various game modes, and depending on the match's outcome, you'll get different amounts of points from mastery. These masteries are unique to each character, and when you reach a certain mastery level, you'll get a specific reward for that character. So at various levels, we can see here, you're getting Zenny, badges, unique stamps, gold capsules here, a special home screen, and a badge upgrade, more Zenny, the hero memory selector thing we saw earlier, gold capsules, a special title if the titles are being used, and a special Dragon Ball animation, again, if the star collection system is being removed. I actually do like this. It's actually a very novel kind of idea. Obviously, like, hero mastery is something we've seen in other games. League of Legends has it, I know for that. Marvel Rivals actually has a mastery system as well. So having it here and making it a bit more meaningful, I think that's not a bad thing whatsoever. Obviously, we all know that someone can have like the ultimate badges for Super Saiyan Goku or Piccolo or something and still suck with those characters, and vice versa. You could never have a badge for the character and still be elite. But I think making the mastery improvement, like the system improved, I think that would be a pretty cool thing to have. I don't think it's the most important thing, but if they can make some really cool home screens and really like go through crazy with the tiles and stuff, I think that can make this system even more special, because that's just showing how devoted you are to a certain character. I think that can be very exciting. Voting for MVP, let's go through all 3 of these because they're all kind of small right here. Voting for the MVP of the match should give more bonus points. Right now, it looks like a useless feature that doesn't give any rewards. 1 out of 1,000 points is too little, something like 10 or more. Fair enough. Share Dragon Gems across all devices rather than separated depending on the device on which the gems were purchased. This is huge. I so agree with this. A game that promotes cross progression and cross platform shouldn't have such a thing. It's very strange to see this feature that is a relic of the past. Finally, a web store for Gekishin Squadra. Add a web store similar to Legends and Dokkan. Given the game's deep connection to Bandai, it's surprising they don't have this from day one. Okay, so this one is the one that's most important to me of the three. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, something that is such a big issue. I'm surprised that people don't talk about this more. And actually, maybe I should make a separate vid just covering this alone. But the thing about the whole system for the game is that if you go from one platform to another, so say you go from Steam to iOS or mobile or something Android, right? Your Dragon Gems will not go across the devices even though you're using the same account. So that's what happened to me, where during the holidays my old computer broke and everything. I had to start playing on mobile. All the gems from my Steam account were not available to me on my mobile account, and then on mobile for like 1 or 2 weeks I got like 20 gems, whatever. Then I couldn't get those gems on my Steam account when I got my new computer here. So that, like, this needs to be fixed. The voting for an MVP thing, this is like a nice bonus. I don't think it's the biggest thing in the world, but it's nice to have. Web store, I'm surprised they don't have it now that I think about it, but I'm sure we'll get it sometime soon. This though, this is incredibly important. I cannot stress enough how something so small in the grand scheme of things is still so impactful, because that means, you know, you have to stick to one device. You can't go between things, you know, PlayStation, Steam, like you have to pick. So this needs to be fixed. I think this is something that's underrated in terms of the severity of it. But if this can get fixed, that'll be something that is like just spectacular for sure. Okay, 1.5, part 1.5, monetizing the game. So skins, let's start with here. Currently, skins don't feel like a main source of monetization, but more like an addition. We should see more skins with the arrival of new updates and more emphasis on skin monetization, so we are providing these next solutions. More original skins that never appeared in Dragon Ball media. Currently, there's only one such original skin, that is Universe 7 Battlesuit Caulifla. This will, in turn, add more ways to monetize the game because certain new hype characters don't have skins, like Broly or Vegito, and this would increase hype and increase revenue even further. Also, changing the cost of skins according to how much they change the character's appearance. So things like Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta's vest or torn clothing should not cost as much as skins that completely change a character's appearance. So this is their example here. So you got the infinite skins, then you got a rare skin here for Super Saiyan 3 Goku, where it's like his basic gi but just torn. Android 18 is a mythical tier, so that's, you know, the iconic Android 18 outfit, but you know, it's like a decent appearance change, but it's still an iconic look. And then you got White Suit Krillin with the Immortal tier, because that's just completely different. Honestly, that's a very interesting kind of concept. I do kind of like that, because that means, you know, like that adds value to certain skins and also reduce the cost of other skins, which could be really nice for players who are trying to get some drip for their characters. And you can change existing skins to the following tiers. Infinites go with 50 gems, rares are 125, mythicals 250, immortals 350, which is like the current cost for a skin as it is. Yeah, I really do like that a lot. Items for characters, skins like Santa hats shouldn't be even classified as skins, but rather be separate items that can be equipped on any skin or recolor. These items could also be monetized via special capsules. This is actually something that's very true, because the Santa hat thing is really cool, but it's its own skin, so you can't even combine the Santa hat with Namek Goku's outfit or Yarjak Goku. Like, you have to pick one or the other. So that, I think, if they can change that, that's like a minor thing, but that would be really good. Thematic hero banner for Dragon Gems, addition of a themed banner for heroes with an increased chance of specific hero emotes, for example, along with the weekly missions to obtain said hero. Unlike other character emotes are also present, but here's a specifically increased chance of obtaining the specific emotes. Best case, you add a pity system, such as one animation of this character within 350 gems, or provide a choice of character emotes, I should say, after opening X number of capsules. Yeah, I really do like the system. I think this is something that I'm surprised we don't have yet, because Dokkan and Legends do gacha stuff similar to this in a way, right? I do think this is a very good idea, though. The more I think about it, like, this is something that would make so many, like, summon banners more viable to go after, because people want their special character emotes and everything. Having a better chance to do that, that means you're further thinking of summoning, so this could be a very great idea. At the same time, you have like a week to get trunks. At the same time, a banner is available when you can obtain the legendary emotes and stuff. The banner lasts either the same time or longer. Yeah, like this is a really smart idea, actually. It's maybe something that we won't see for a while, but I think this is something that eventually can happen and should happen, just because then, like, say with Trunks or with Goku or something, you can use these banners to bring back old emotes that are not part of the new season and stuff, but you can use them to bring them back so that fans of these characters can have a chance to get the emotes they missed out on beforehand. So that'd be really good. EX Token Shop. Another possible solution for the current animation monetization problems is the addition of animations to the EX Token Shop. Simple, straightforward, but I do like that, actually. Given some of these skins, to be honest, I might go for the animations over a few of these other skins, just me personally. Better deals in the shop, 350 gems for 1 F capsule and 3 F capsules with a character for 600 gems is just a bad deal. Yeah, the shop could be improved upon. I don't think it's the biggest issue, but I mean, it's something that I think if they refined it, that could generate even more revenue because people already want the new character plus the cool emotes. Altogether, that could do a lot of good things. Alright, part 2, gameplay. Okay, here we focus on new game modes, gameplay features and adjustments, game maps, and environment. Currently only one map, and due to its appearance, it becomes boring very quickly. A random map selection before matches needs to be added. Each map could have a different visual appearance without changes to gameplay to keep things fresh, which will greatly increase excitement in each match. So we see like Diamond, for example. I will say this is actually an idea that is not brought up too often, but when it is, people are always in agreement that new maps will be great, but I just don't hear this idea too often. But one thing that could be cool is, say we end up on the Daima map, right? If the bosses can change to fit the map itself, like with Daima, say instead of Jackie Chun and Nappa and Rubrian, we get Tamagami 1, 2, 3, maybe Goma, those types of characters. If they become the bosses, they have the same effects, same bonuses, just tailored bosses for the map in question. That would be a nice bit of, again, attention to detail, which the devs do pretty well, generally speaking. That would be so good for making the game feel new, feel fresh. That would be great, yeah. For example, new Daima map or Namek map, yeah, that'd be great. Also, something like this would bring a new revive. This, yeah, that would be clean. More home screens, that would be a great, in my opinion, like a really, really great thing for them to do. To like make more home screens, make it unique and different. That would be great. Like we could get one from West City, not something like this where it's everything, but like specifically West City, King Kai's Planet, all that. So I do love these ideas. Also, OSTs and main menu background could be different depending on the maps. Yep. New game mode, Gekushin Competitive. Current standard battle does not bring a competitive aspect to the game, and it's designed for mostly fun and not serious gameplay, so the player base should also have a game mode specifically meant for ranked and tournament style, which, as you can see here, includes what they say right here, a pick and ban phase before the match, and there will be no divine draws, which are designed for a more casual enjoyment of the game. So, no divine draws whatsoever, it seems, and like being able to pick a character, ban them, etc. I agree with this. Depending on how competitive they want to take this, this is one of the classic choices that you will get. Like League of Legends has it, other games have it. Being able to pick and ban options, that would be huge. And it's an idea that people have been calling for a while. I think, it depends on how serious the devs want to make the competitive scene become soon, but this could definitely be something that they should focus on in the future. Like they should definitely focus on this. No divine draws. I'm not sure if the devs would like to do that. They probably would just limit the divine draws to something that's like, interesting but not too gimmicky, whatever. But I do like that. That's actually a really good idea for players, especially who want to be competitive. And you can make it where the competitive scene has more rewards to offer because you're trying to bring in the tryhards and the people who are like really taking the game seriously. Sub-rule adjustments. There is no point in limiting them by time since it's already a few players even playing them. You can create a single selection for searching them for which players will be gathered, or the ability to select several for searching at the same time. Make certain or all sub-rules playable with fixed level of skills like level 2 or 3. These game modes don't have aspects of MOBA style, so there's no point in having skill leveling systems in modes that are just pure button mash. And then a new feature, replays. We all want to share that crazy moment in game, but recording every match is tedious, so having a replay system would help with that. 1000%. I definitely agree with this. There's actually a few clips that I would have for the channel and everything if I recorded the matches, but I don't often record it because it's random times in the day. I'm not recording audio. I don't know if it's going to be a good game, so I don't record it. But then looking back, I'm like, I wish I recorded that shot, or like recorded that 3K 4K kill, like team wipe, because that's really fire. But yeah, this actually, you know, honestly, between all the different ideas here, me personally, this is my bias coming out. I need this the most because this is what allows me to help make content, right? So that's where my personal hope is like focused. But the competitive scene, the game apps, all are great ideas. But this replay one is speaking to me. I'm just gonna say for what it is. Next up, game balance, and we got the frown, like the smiling, frowning Gohan right there. I appreciate the effort for that. So game balance, part 2.5. Right now, balance changes are rare and insignificant. We should see them more frequently, and they should be more impactful. We also shouldn't have game-breaking releases like Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, and wait the whole season or seasons to see them nerfed. This last part is kind of tricky. I do agree that we should see more balance changes, just even if they're like minor tweaks or too crazy. Having balance changes happen more often, it's not a bad thing. I will say that. I enjoy them. They're always fun to cover and everything. It's exciting. I'm not against it. This one is kind of tricky because on one hand, we've seen characters like Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta get nerfed mid-season, in their season in particular, right? Like season 2, mid-season, Vegeta got a nerf. But at the same time, you know, if you're a new player coming into Squadra because you see Super Saiyan 3 Goku or Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, or in this season Super Vegito, and you come in for the character, you buy the character, you're still learning the game and everything, you haven't really developed an attachment to Squadra, but rather the character, and you want them to be good and everything because they're your favorites, to see them get nerfed in the middle of their season, it can feel bad. So that's kind of a tricky balancing act, right? Because you don't want the headlining premier characters of the season, who represent the season, to be more disappointing and mediocre than random characters that have existed for months and years prior. So it's a tricky balance, but I think the way they could do it is also try not to make these characters too game-breaking. Maybe that's just a bit of a different kind of situation there, but there's a lot of challenges, I guess, to go in that. I would like to see them be more proactive when it comes to balance changes. That can also mean nerfing these characters, you know, more commonly and stuff, but definitely a great idea, great thing to bring up, because balance changes are so important for this game and for the longevity of its health. Nerfing transformations. Reduce the percentage of health recovered from 50% to like 10 to 20%. At the moment, they're too unbalanced and basically serve as a second life mechanic. Definitely agree with that. Reworking the boss buffs. Make the buffs time limited, not lasting the entirety of the game. Make it 2-3 minutes, then expire. 3 boss KO buffs, double Zeno, the ability to completely nullify any danger to your base for a minute in a 10-minute match, along with all the other buffs, is too crazy. It should be either removed or rebalanced. And then reduced respawn timer. Characters like Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 and Super Saiyan Goku can clearly, or easily I should say, secure a third boss without dying really because of the shortened time to respawn after the triple boss KO. Rebalance or removal also is suggested. And then let's just keep going through these other stuff here. Reworking the Gekushin Burst and the towers. There is a need for defensive mechanics in the towers. Right now it's not uncommon for the opposing team to just take down a tower through cheap damage, which is quite annoying. 3 ways to defend them. Add a phase at 40% during which the tower increases defense, and another at 20% where the tower can only be destroyed by fully charged Gekushin Burst or by defeating a boss, which then the boss will do the damage, right? Let the towers be invulnerable when protected by 2+ allies. Or a Glyph of Fortification, which is a team ability that makes all your towers invulnerable for a short time. Interesting ideas. And then changing the bosses. Rework or rebalance bosses. Some bosses have more significant buffs than others, like 16 and Jocko. They provide more value than Nappa or Rebrand. Add more bosses like Jackie Chun. I like that. That adds more strategy, rather than just Piccolo or Goku nuking every boss that isn't them. Or make bosses have a phase of invincibility so that no character like Piccolo or Goku will be able to attack it. When the boss is at 50% HP or at 20, it stops taking damage and the phases can't be avoided. If the damage is enough to one-shot, it'll just get it to those phases and leave it at that. Wow, these are actually like a lot of interesting suggestions here. This one, it's something that you probably don't think about, but it is true. The transformations, the amount of health you recover is insane. It's why so many people, for better or worse, save their transformations until they're low HP. And because of how matches can sometimes unfold, there are a lot of times where I've seen people hold off on their transformation at level 7 till they're like level 10 or level 11 because the team is rolling and there's never a situation where they are low HP. So this could mean that people do transformations more earlier, which I think is a good thing. And in general, like, this could be really good. I think that's a really good idea to fix that. The boss buffs, I agree with it. I think the problem with Squadra, and this is kind of exemplified in a lot of these different like mentions, the problem with Squadra in some ways, when it comes to like a competitive perspective, is if you're on the back end, if you're on the back foot, where the other team is stealing the bosses, where they're getting the NPCs, where they're getting the farming, eventually it becomes almost an impossible challenge to come back and win. It takes really special coordination, really special plays to make something work when you're in such a bad position. So in that type of sentiment, yeah, like making the bus time limit is good in my opinion. Double Zeno, currently the only way to beat Double Zeno is you have to force an all-team wipe, right? A full ally team KO, whatever. You would have to force that. And it's pretty hard because the team who gets Double Zeno, right? Like if my team gets Double Zeno, we push up, we start losing 1, 2, 3 people, the final person or persons, they could just be told to fall back and just chill. And now they're farming NPCs, farming levels, everyone's gonna come back and nothing is in jeopardy because Double Zeno. And if anything, on the opposing team, the opponents still have to stay by their tower because you never know when someone's just going to come in and attack with a Double Zeno. So yeah, I think removing it is not a good idea because you got to get incentive for getting it, right? But rebalancing it for sure would be better. Maybe make it a smaller time frame. That would be a simple but effective change. Make it where if the tower is not attacked within a certain amount of time, then both Zenos are like, you know what, screw this, let's just go back to our normal thing. Something like that to kind of tweak it and make it where it's not as oppressive. With the respawn timer, it's kind of interesting though, because the thing is, in the moment, if you're able to trigger it, yeah, the respawn timer is insanely overpowered. But the thing about the respawn timer, which in my opinion is better than the Zeno thing, is the timer doesn't last as long in terms of when you can take advantage of it. So in that perspective, like I've had situations where we get the triple KO, then we go for the tower, then I get taken out or someone gets taken out. We don't get the reduced timer, we still have to wait like 20-30 seconds. So, you know, when I think of it that way, maybe a rebalance is worthy, but I think this is less of an issue compared to Double Zeno. I think Double Zeno is far more impactful, since obviously you need Zeno to even attack a tower to make progressions in the first place. So, you know, I think that's far more important. Reduce respawn timer. If you know the opponents are respawning quicker, you just pull back and just, you know, wait your time and try to like go back to neutral. But Double Zeno puts more pressure for sure, so definitely could work that. The Gekushin Burst, I don't know if I agree with the 2 allies invulnerability thing and team abilities and stuff. I don't know if I agree with those mechanics. They can work, I just don't agree with them. This, however, I definitely agree with, is the tower should not be able to be taken out by chip damage. Because the thing about the towers, which I'm sure many of you guys have seen plenty of times, is the tower can be at like 1 HP, like a hair of HP, right? And then all someone has to do is go in, be completely brain dead ignorant, not even focused on the game mechanics and mastering it at all, go into the tower, press one skill, whatever the skill is, other than like the max burst, right? And then they just charge it up partially. And now they've won. They're going to take that tower. Because you as the defender, you either let them get the full burst, which does the damage it takes out the tower currently, or you hit them, in which they do chip damage, and that will also take out the tower. So it's a win-win for the on the offensive side, it's a lose-lose for the defensive side. That seems kind of unfair in the grand scheme of things. And I don't want to say the word unfair too much because I feel like that sounds kind of childish, but they definitely should make it where to take out a tower, you should be hitting the tower with a full burst, with a full attack, not just, you know, the chip damage. I think that will be a much better idea for several reasons. For one, it forces offensive players to be more thoughtful and methodical about when they go after a tower and not just be stupid. It means defense is a lot more viable, and it gives opportunities for the losing team to make a comeback. And then it also means that you don't have to have those situations where two players are on one side and then one person is flying around the map like a silly Billy Goose thing, whatever, dumbass, and just go into the tower, do a quick chip damage, dies, respawns, go back and forth. That's something that I think would be really good to start dealing with. So this, in my opinion, this right here is the biggest change that I want to see. Forget the doubles and all that stuff. These are other worthwhile things. This whole fully charged burst thing, this is what I want to see first and foremost. The change to bosses, that can be kind of tricky, I think, in one particular reason, which is that I am concerned, for Piccolo mains in particular, that if all the bosses are all of a sudden designed like Jackie Chun, that means a character like Piccolo, whose special beam cannon is so good for boss securing because it's a single attack, one direction, that could devalue a character like Piccolo. And so maybe they should find a way to balance it where 2 bosses are like Jackie Chun and 2 bosses are like Nappa or something. Maybe they should do that. Or they should add abilities which create invincibility frames. They should do that. So for example, with Jaco is actually a great example of this. Jaco has an ability, as I'm sure many of you know, where he can jump in the air and do like a somersault type of flip. What I have found from my experience is when Jaco does that flip, Spirit Bomb and other attacks, when they land, they won't damage him because he's in the air. That's like an invincibility frame. So even if he is literally where the bomb is supposed to be, he won't take damage. So I think you can add those invincibility frames that will also work just as well. I think that would be a great idea, but that one, it may be a bit tricky because you don't want to go too far into like nullifying the value of Super Saiyan Goku and Piccolo and stuff and those types of characters, and you don't want to have them be the kings of Squadra just because they can take out bosses because of how strong bosses are. Maybe they should change how the buffing system works, which is mentioned here. They should change that, but definitely the boss system, I would not be surprised if bosses get some pretty decent changes in Season 4. That's what I'll say right there. I think bosses could see some pretty big changes in Season 4, but that's just me kind of throwing out some predictions there, some hopes, but still very cool stuff. Part 3. Geez, we still have like 3 more parts to go. Geez, okay, we got a lot. In-game activities. So we have suggestions here for different stuff here. Let's kind of go through this a bit quicker here. A guild system, so easier opportunity to make game rooms, talk in chat, share replays, etc. Special guild missions for Zenny and other things. Special PvE mode for the guild against big bosses that could give some roguelike aspects. Guild rankings, which require guild points that are earnable if you're playing with members and give different rewards based on your placement. And a level system which can be filled if players have completed a set amount of missions, which upgrade the guild's level, and players will receive different rewards like team finishers and other stuff like that. Honestly, I think this is not a bad idea. Guilds, I don't think it necessarily takes away from Squadra if there aren't any, but having it can, improve things, that's for sure. It can add to Squadra. I don't think it will take away from it at all, but this could be interesting. I do like that. Cavern Crawl style event. A new in-game event designed for long-term play. This event can last an entire season and be updated at the beginning of the next one. 3 paths for each role. Okay, fair enough. Nodes. In order to reach the final reward, you must complete a route consisting of nodes. Each node includes a mission that must be completed by a character that meets certain conditions. Okay, each path has multiple nodes, so you can pick the one you prefer. This is an example. The mission doesn't necessarily have to include characters of this role, making the system more flexible. If you do not have a character eligible for the mission, then until you complete it, the character will be available in the options. After completing the mission, access to the character is gone until a similar mission appears or the character is acquired. At the end of the path, you get a rage skin for the character of this path, so DPS gets a DPS skin, tank, technical, and then special rewards or small rewards for each node. This is very interesting, actually. I've never played something like this in recent memory. This is obviously from Dota 2. I've never played Dota 2. But if you guys have experienced something like this, let me know in the comments down below your thoughts of a game mode or a map like this. Me personally, I do think this is very interesting. This is a very cool concept. However, I don't know if this is something that the devs would want to prioritize, and I don't know if this is a type of event that would be truly successful in Squadra, at least for the time being. And here's why I say that. When it comes to Squadra, one of my personal favorite things about Squadra, whether that's from a casual or competitive perspective, is that the matches themselves don't really take that long. Like realistically, between the queue time and between the match itself, at most you're probably spending, depending on what you're queuing for and like your server and stuff, at least 15 to 20 minutes, right? Between everything, because maybe queues will take a while. I'm trying to play like, assuming the worst, right? Queues could take a while, matches could take a while, between all those different things. A match could take 20 minutes, maybe, something longer. But really, that is not too much time for a single sitting compared to other games that are out there. Like, I've played Valorant in the past. Valorant, for a casual match or a competitive match, at minimum, you are spending an hour of your time in a game like that for a single game. Here, you can play multiple games with Squadra. It's much more short in terms of the time that you have to spend. And in that particular sense, this, while I do think there's a lot of promise potentially with it, I don't know if this is something that the devs would choose to go towards, at least in the near future. Probably maybe sometime down the line if they want to get really creative, but this seems like it's something for casual players. That's what I will say. And yet I don't know if casual players will necessarily gravitate towards it. They may like it, but we'll have to see. I mean, this is an idea that's not even in the game. So, and I've certainly never experienced this. So guys, let me know in the comments below if you've experienced this, how has it worked for you and everything. But this is interesting. I will say that. I just don't know enough about it to say it will or will not be a good idea definitively. But I do think that if this is a long-term type of play and it's really grandiose, maybe that can be more of a turn-off than a exciting kind of factor for players in that sense. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just me having my incorrect opinion, as it were. Anyways, that's the part 3 right there. Now part 4, Squadra Creator Program and the tournaments, okay. Adding significance to the Squadra Creator Program, already something I'm loving to see. Right now, from an outside perspective, the Creator Program offers very few benefits to its participants. The only significant advantage, based on observations, is early access to new game assets. Otherwise, the program feels empty and does nothing to advance its participants in the game itself. To add more significance to this program, we have a few suggestions here. Create an in-game tab where creators' videos will be posted. I do love that, actually. Add a special badge or title for creators. Instead of giving promo vids, make them play the game to promote new content, and also that way you have a bunch of testing and everything in the new content. And promote tournaments through big content makers who are in the program. Maybe invite Nano or Iron King or someone big to cast the official Squadra tournaments in pair with an official host or commentator. It was a thing that Rhyme and Kagi did back in the day with Legend stuff. Why not now? And this is like, obviously you see Kagi right there, shout out Kagi. And related to the previous one, give creators a live feed for the tournament without commentators. All this actually is some really good ideas, I will say that. As someone who is not in the creator program, even though I desperately want to be part of it, they definitely need to work to make the creator program feel more special than it currently is. One of the biggest benefits, which is mentioned here, one of the biggest advantages that the creator program people have is early access to the new game assets, right? And then what happens is someone in the program will post that information because they have early access to it, they're allowed to share it, they share it with everyone, right, on Twitter and stuff. Now you have people like me who are not in the creator program, but we're able to see that, and of course naturally we're gonna go ahead and cover it because, on one hand you could be like, oh, the creators should have a day or two to just post the content and no one else outside of the program can do it. Whatever the case may be, the fact of the matter is, for my personal experience, my perspective, I am so grateful to the creator program for having early access to assets and everything and to things like that. But also, as someone not in the program, I still gotta cover the same information as soon as I can see it in some way, because that allows me to stay in the fold of things as best as I can as I try to grow the channel and everything. So, I do think from the creator side of things, I do want Squadra creators to have some unique and special things that make it feel worthwhile, to make it, to be a part of that group. I think it should be important. And actually, I think the in-game tab will be something really awesome. And I think this is really important, not just in terms of, for the creator side of things, but also for the game. There's so many creators who all the time will be like, what the heck is going on with this character getting a buff or a nerf or this meta? What is going on? This is so crazy. And yet, it feels like if the players were allowed to play the game, test it more officially, especially creators, then For one, you could show off these characters, and then you can also be able to make adjustments and patch things up before they get released, so that way you don't have to deal with a bunch of backlash about someone being too overpowered, like Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta or Ultimate Gohan or Super Saiyan 3 Goku. You can make those tweaks before a character is released to the public. And then this would actually be really cool, this whole, like promoting tournaments, streaming. That would be really cool for that. I mean, this is like a really long time ago, but for those who remember, Legends with the first anniversary, when Super Vegeta was revealed, if I remember correctly, I want to say it was Rhyme who was a part of that reveal. I think there were some other people, maybe Kagi was a part of that too. But they were in the old reveals, with the dev team, basically allowed to play the game and just see Super Vegeta out of nowhere. And they obviously were huge content creators at that time especially, and for the game and everything, they were really doing a great job of further promoting it with their own excitement. And obviously, I think that would all just be so spectacular. Creator code, a unique identifier for content creators, allowing players to support them by entering the code in shop, giving the creator a small percentage of purchases made with it in Dragon Gems. If this is a thing, if this ever becomes a thing, I cannot stress enough how much I will lock in to make it to the Squadra Creator Program, because I desperately need all of this. I need it all. I really do. That would be awesome. In-game tournaments, instead of making Squadra Blast tournaments on third-party sites and community-hosted tournaments on an official site, it would be better if there was an in-game system. This would encourage many more people to participate. Definitely true. I think it's hard for some people to know when tournaments are going on, because you have to follow players on their Twitter accounts. You have to keep track of social media. You have to watch certain vids and stuff to even be aware of it. And then that can be challenging for people to even find time to do it. So these are all some really good ideas. I think the biggest thing is the creator program stuff. I really do think creators deserve, they deserve to get more benefits for being a part of this special program for Squadra, and more than just early assets, but like the special stuff, in-game tabs for their videos, being allowed to test the game and promote it early before it gets released, all that sort of stuff. Like, that is stuff that'd be really special. So yeah, I do think those are really great ideas for sure. Part 5, quality of life updates. I believe this is the final part here. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff here, but definitely we're getting close to the end here. 10 pages left. Let's dig deep here. Okay, quality of life updates. This part consists of minor improvements and changes across all segments of the game that can be implemented for greater player comfort. Let's go ahead and go through these pretty rapidly here. Percentage and numbers display in skills and other in-game objects. Self-explanatory, just add numbers and values in character descriptions and card buffs. Also add more specifics to combo card descriptions and UI like it was in the beta. Actually, this is actually pretty true. The thing is, in order to understand the numbers for like certain characters' kits and everything, or like how they work and stuff, you have to test it. And there's a lot of calculations that may sometimes need to be made, and maybe you can't recognize and stuff. That can all be kind of tricky, and so you have to do a lot of training modes and stuff. You have to listen to content creators, you have to do all those things. Being able to see it more clearly and like definitively, that would make things a lot nicer. Adding an option to reduce the number of animations that appear during a match. Some players may find it uncomfortable when a boss animation takes up a quarter of the screen. Add an option to disable or reduce them. That could be pretty dope. I still like these animations, I'm not gonna lie. I think that adds a bit of flair to Squadra, but I can understand that. I mean, Vegeta's taken up like what, a fifth of the screen between everything. Like, he's taken up a lot of size for someone so short, and like, especially like if you got Piccolo right here or something, he's blocking that. You can't see him now, right? So that could be a bit of an issue. But I think it's a nice idea, small thing, but still. In-game lobby updates, adding a chat feature to the general lobby where games are searched for, not in the match itself. Also, ability to use stamps in chat. Okay, first of all, I think we can all agree, if we have an in-game chat, there needs to be a lot of filtering and management of the chat so nothing gets out of hand. Because I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen some players with some questionable names for their accounts. If that's on here and like crazy chatting, like it can get out of control. So definitely gonna have to keep on top of things. But a chat could be pretty cool to try to help with trying to form squads, trying to do all sorts of things. So that can all be pretty good. The invitation to join the party should be displayed at all tabs. This feature can be implemented as a pop-up box. I do like that. Easier to see, easier to understand what's going on, easier to accept and decline everything quickly. I think that'd be really good. Testing unavailable heroes in training or in special mode, yes. It is unclear why characters cannot be tested in training. This could positively influence the character's user's purchasing decision, and it would be beneficial to add this feature to skins as well. 100%. Honestly, this is something that really pissed me off ever since Season 1 with Super Saiyan 3 Goku, was obviously the cost to get the character, it's a free-to-play, all the different stuff, but also you can't even try out the character to know that you would like them or not. Even Super Vegito, right? Super Vegito is free-to-play accessible, you know, like Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and stuff. If you can't try out the character, you can't know how good or bad they are, and you can't know how you like their play style. And so if you don't like Gotenks' playstyle, but you took Gotenks because you thought he was like going to be meta and stuff, and you heard good things about him, now you don't like the character, all of a sudden you just wasted a valuable pick for a character you're not going to enjoy playing. Being able to test the hero would prevent that. So, and it would also help you learn how the character works to counter the character when you match up with them. If I could test Super Vegito right now, I could get a much better understanding of Super Vegito's kit and how he's meant to dominate, and then I will know, okay, this is how Super Vegito works, this is what he's not meant to be doing, this is how I can counter him and dominate on my side of things. That's the type of stuff that this can allow, so definitely something that should be done. Receive notifications about penalties imposed on reported players. It would be good to know your reports on players who are really ruining the experience have been received and have led to something. This is something that's nice, but I wouldn't say this is something too important. Like, you report it, it gets done, whatever. It would be nice to know that it's happening. That doesn't mean it's a mandatory thing, and certainly not something that I think most people would be like bent out of shape for. Adding more ways to view players' profiles. Right now, to be honest, it's quite a challenge. For example, you can add the ability to view players' profiles in the ranking list and in the party. This could serve as an opportunity to watch how your friends and other people play in real time, definitely. A detailed view of the character's model. Add the ability to zoom in and out not only in the figures, but also 3D models, and it would be cool to change facial expressions and poses. I actually really do like this. This is something that can be beneficial for me for making thumbnails, because I do really love a lot of the Squadra models. Being able to do those zoom-ins, that would be really good. Speaking of which, character models. Some characters' faces look pretty weird. For example, 18, Vegeta, and Super Saiyan 3 Goku in them. It would be nice if their models would be adjusted. I don't think this would be a problem for developers since this is a live service. Also did some edits on a few bad-looking characters you can see below. So Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, for example, did some tweaking there. Honestly, I'm not like particular either way, but I can kind of see some of it, right? Like with the eyes and everything, I can kind of see that. Super Saiyan 3 Goku, yeah, the face could be for sure like having a bit more like of a stern look. Ultimate Gohan, yeah, like that's a great example. His face here is like the round eye, trying to like attempt that, even though here it's so different. So definitely could see that being some of a focus. Maybe not too much, but still it would be interesting. Make in-game surveys more often. Great opportunity for us to communicate with the dev team. In fact, the lack of surveys motivated us to create this file. Okay, there you go. So yeah, more surveys, more feedback. I think it's all good. Communication is not a bad thing as long as it's respectful and as long as both sides are willing to listen to each other. And yeah, the dev team, they show that they listen to players a lot. I think more surveys would just help them even more. Add special submitted game balance feedback channel to a Discord server. Discord feedback channel isn't the most convenient thing, as messages such as "fix Gohan, he's too overpowered" can distract from truly important feedback. Yeah, I can kind of see that. Some people just have some really silly feedback messages. I don't cover all of them. Maybe I should, if you guys would like to do that, or if you guys would like me to see me do that, I should say. But some people don't really give great feedback. They just kind of rant. And then others, they do give some good feedback on what should change. And so that's like the back and forth of things. But yeah, I think that would be interesting. Surrender restriction. Disable surrender option after the last tower was taken down. We should be able to see our Dragon Ball acquiring animation and complete missions that are related to Dragon Shell. Ooh, that part is so true. I was going to say, I don't know about this. Then they mentioned the missions thing, and I got like a That's So Raven flashback type of thing where I was like thinking about all the times this mission has been like delayed because people just surrender to like the last second. Honestly, I mean, yeah, like when you lose the final tower, you kind of know it's game, set, match, at least for the time being, unless they change how Dragon Shells work. You pretty much know it's over. And so yeah, in that sense, I guess like it would make sense if you could just allow the opposing team to just get their Dragon Ball and just see the animation, and more importantly, get those missions. That would be huge. Social media activities. We still got a few things here. Social media activities, make more social media events for things like Xannier capsules. Also post special character teasers when the new season is around the corner. This could boost popularity as more people discuss these teasers, make their own posts, and YouTubers will make more discussion vids. Absolutely, I would love to make more content. I definitely need to lock in on content, but making more content, I'm all for it. Show player icon instead of player rank in the left corner of the menu. A small change, but it'll make each player's main menu feel more individually unique. Player icon, I guess, like I'm trying to like think of which part is the icon specifically. I guess just like that, not just the name and the rank, but like the icons. Yeah, that's a minor thing. I really don't care too much about that. I'm neither here for or against it. It's just like whatever to me. NPC button for mobile players. There should be a special button that will attack only NPCs. That would be pretty funny. I don't know if that's really worthwhile, but I think it could be interesting. I will say my experience with mobile Squadra has not been too positive. I've just had a lot of bad experiences with mobile Squadra. The way the gameplay works is so frustrating at times, but it could be interesting if they try to optimize that more. Expanding the ping system. How do I use pings? Pings are nestled in the top right corner of the screen by default, while a single tap will cause the chosen ping to appear right on the top of your champion. The real power shines when you tap and hold and drag it wherever you like. Change your mind mid-ping. Don't worry, drag your finger outside the minimap to release and cancel. That's from League of Legends, I guess. So yeah, so if they could expand the ping system, I think that would be cool. Right now the problem is the pings, they cover the general things you need to like converse about as a team, but you can't specify certain things that are probably important, right? Like, I think a bit more specificity would go a long way. So that's what I would say right there. Like, you know, you could say attack point A or whatever, and then direct it towards your teammate or like someone else entirely. Like, that could be really good. So those things, I think would be really nice. Ability to see the most picked divine cards. This will help players decide what build is optimal. Definitely a great idea. Replace AFK players with bots. This will add more chances to win when somebody leaves a match or if it's just temporarily disconnected. Add an opportunity to play 1v1s in custom battles. Sometimes it's hard to find a full lobby to test certain in-game tactics or other stuff. Yeah, I think all these are good ideas. And then in closing, thank you for taking the time to read this feedback. Thank you again to the people who made this document. Please excuse any errors and everything. It took us 2 weeks to put this document together with contributions from both casuals and experienced ones, including S-rank players and players in the official Squadra tournaments. We hope our efforts will not be in vain and that this feedback will reach the right people and contribute to Squadra. And of course, you got the beautiful image there. Again, shout out to Frozek who authored this, but also all these other people here. Shout out to all of them. They took a lot of time to put this together to, again, make this comprehensive, organized, detailed, a bunch of different ideas, different focuses, all these different things. And this is just volume 1. There's so much room for new additions, new volumes, improvements on this formatting, all sorts of different stuff. So yeah, honestly, again, thank you to Frozek and all of them, because this is amazing. Honestly, guys, again, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about these ideas, these changes? Because I like a lot of them. There have been very few where I've disagreed with them. I will say that, like, very few of them have I disagreed with. A lot of them I really do like. A lot of them make sense to me. A lot of them are, I think, worth doing at some point or another. Maybe some are not as important as the others, but all of these just look really good ideas. They have great thought behind them. They have great time put into developing these ideas and trying to make them seem legitimate, as opposed to just saying, oh hey, let's just go ahead and do this and let the devs figure it out from there. So yeah, I really do like what we got here. Honestly, this alone speaks so brightly to me for the future of Squadra, because again, this is from players, not the dev team saying what they have in mind, from players who want Squadra to succeed. And that is, I think, so important, the communication from Squadra players to Squadra devs, from people in general. That is, I think, what's going to make this game succeed, and it's one of just a plethora of reasons for why I think Squadra just has some of the best potential going towards the future. Already, as far as I'm concerned, I personally enjoy Squadra more than Dokkan, more than Legends. Dokkan, I do have a bit of Dokkan burnout with that, unfortunately. But in general, I just love Squadra so much. It's such an awesome game. I just love Squadra. I just gotta say it for what it is. But guys, let me know again in the comments down below your thoughts and everything, because that's going to be where we wrap up the vid. Guys, if you enjoyed the vid and enjoy me yapping for as long as I did, show your support down below, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, all those things. I know this vid is probably going to be very long, but hopefully it was a very enjoyable thing nonetheless. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching, take care, stay blessed, and I'll see you all in the next one.